If you hadn't realised that Britain has reached the pinnacle of stupidity, well, this one spells it out pretty clearly. Because rolling blackouts are now back on the table in Britain. They are actual, planned, switch your street lights off blackouts. That's right, the grid operator Nesso has just been given new powers to cut electricity to millions of households at 8 hours' notice. Each area gets switched off for 3 hours at a time, and they can rotate it around the entire country. Now, they don't actually need government approval to do it. Until now, rationing power on that scale needed ministers and emergency legislation. Well, not anymore. Grid bosses can now do it all by themselves. You see, the last time this country sat in the dark on a rota was the 1970s, when strikes shut the mines and Labour eventually limped out of the winter of discontent. Half a century later, and under another Labour government, the people running the grid have quietly decided they need a blackout plan they can trigger on the same working day. And we've been told for decades this was all going to go in the other direction. Renewables would make us secure, wind and solar would keep the lights on, billions spent, your bills through the roof, and the end result is a formal protocol for turning your power off. Now, Nesso does say it's a last resort for the most extreme and unlikely circumstances. That's fine, but if it's so unlikely, why build the machinery for it now? You see, your local network splits demands into blocks of about 5% each. Some blocks are already reserved to be cut instantly if the system's about to collapse. The new rules mean another 70% of demand can be put on a blackout rota. 70%. That's not a niche contingency. That's most of the country. And the timing is interesting. You see, this got approved while Nesso is facing whistleblower claims that it tried to cover up blackout risks during the June heatwave, and the system came under serious stress. And they've also just asked the regulator to lower the minimum level of inertia, which is basically the shock absorber that keeps the grid stable. They insist none of this is connected. Now, you can decide how convincing you find that. And what's the government's response to all this? Well, as usual, they're very confident in our security of supply. Sure, so confident that the grid operator just gave itself the power to switch off millions of homes without even having to ask them first. Hospitals and water treatment are protected, which is something, but if the plan for a modern, clean, secure energy system now includes a rota for who loses power on a Tuesday night, then the plan really isn't working, is it? And somebody in government should be honest enough to say so. This whole net zero thing is a farce, and I think now most people have the common sense to see it for what it is.